The science fiction story begins with the introduction of a massive spaceship in space. The spaceship's name is Covet, and inside it, many astronauts are returning to Earth after completing their mission. The journey to Earth is very long, so they must enter hypersleep. Hypersleep is a condition where astronauts go into their sleeping chambers, and even after several months or years, their bodies remain unaffected. During this time, they do not need food or water. The astronauts have already traveled a significant distance in the spaceship, but there is still a long way to go to Earth. The spaceship continues moving forward, when suddenly, it starts receiving strange signals. These signals are so powerful that they take control of the spaceship's main computer. As a result, the computer wakes up the astronauts from their sleeping chambers, and all the systems that were in deactivation mode are turned back on. The astronauts are confused and don't understand what is happening. When they check the control room, they discover that they are no longer on the way to Earth. Instead, the spaceship's main computer, without consulting them, is taking them somewhere else. After some investigation, the astronauts learn that the spaceship's main computer received an unusual signal from a distant and unknown planet. Instead of heading towards Earth, the spaceship is now heading toward that planet. The astronauts sit down and discuss what they should do in this situation. Captain Daniel suggests that they must complete the mission and track the source of the signal because the main computer's organization had decided that if any signal was detected, the computer would automatically divert the spaceship to that location. However, other astronauts refuse to take such action because they believe they should complete their mission and return to Earth. But Captain Daniel explains again that if they ignore the signals coming through, to investigate this signal, because if we don't, the organization will not fund our mission. So, under pressure, all the astronauts are forced to stay aboard the spaceship and follow the signal. After several months, they reach a moon where the signal is continuously being produced. Captain Daniel, along with two astronauts, Ken and Lombard, decide to land on the moon and investigate the source of the signal. The three of them land on the moon in a small spacecraft and step out wearing spacesuits to explore the environment. To their shock, the environment on this planet is identical to Earth's. The gravity level is the same as on Earth. Meanwhile, the other astronauts stay aboard the spaceship, guiding them and trying to decode the signals. An astronaut named Ripley is busy decoding the signals and reports their maximum strength, pointing out the direction of origin. As the three astronauts continue moving forward to trace the signals, they suddenly come across a massive, strange-looking spaceship. Captain Daniel has no idea about this ship, but they quickly board it to investigate further. Although the spaceship has been stranded on the moon for years, everything inside is still functioning perfectly and is highly advanced. Captain Daniel and the others realize that the technology in this spaceship is far beyond anything humans have developed so far. They continue exploring to find anything unique. Eventually, they reach the control room, where they discover the skeletal remains of a giant alien sitting on the seat, likely the controller of the ship. The sight is baffling, as there are many strange things inside the ship that they can't comprehend. Mrs. Lombard starts feeling increasingly uncomfortable and suggests that they leave, but Captain Daniel insists they are compelled to stay and investigate further. They knew that the investigation had to proceed, no matter what. When Ripley examined the signals, she realized they were not signals at all, but rather a warning. However, as she was about to inform the other astronauts, another astronaut named stopped her, saying that he would handle it from there, and that she should leave. Meanwhile, the three astronauts headed down to the lower part of the spaceship's control room. After going a little further, astronaut Ken discovered a black, slimy substance, an unusual black liquid that seemed to be moving around. Ken was confused and reached out to investigate. Suddenly, an egg-like object burst open, and a strange small creature climbed onto Ken's suit, tearing his helmet apart and entering inside. After the attack, Ken immediately lost consciousness. Hearing his screams, Captain Daniel and Mrs. Lombard rushed to help. They found that Ken's condition was very critical, so they decided to take him to the medical room in the spaceship. Ripley, noticing the situation, asked what had happened to Ken. Captain Daniel explained that Ken had likely been infected by some virus that bit him on the head, rendering him unconscious. Following the rules, Ripley insisted that until they were sure about what had attacked Ken, she couldn't let him back into the spaceship. According to the protocol, if any astronaut was suspected of being attacked by an unknown virus or microorganism, they couldn't be allowed inside the spaceship. If the virus spread, it could affect the rest of the crew, and if the spaceship reached Earth, the virus could spread uncontrollably. So Ripley firmly refused to let Ken inside. But Ash, acting strangely, went straight ahead and opened the door, allowing Captain Daniel and Mrs. Lombard to bring Ken inside. Ash's behavior seemed odd, as if he was hiding something that he hadn't revealed to anyone yet. They quickly rushed Ken to the medical room and removed his helmet. The small, dangerous creature had latched onto Ken's face, and despite all the astronauts' efforts, it couldn't be removed. They tried everything, but the creature remained attached, and Ken's breathing had stopped, leading them to believe that he had died. Ken was temporarily locked in the medical room while the astronauts discussed what to do next. Strangely, within a few hours, the creature on Ken's head detached on its own. When Ripley checked Ken's condition, she found that his breathing had returned, but no one understood how or why this happened. The creature had died as well. Ripley believed that these strange creatures were from another planet and could potentially spread a virus on a massive scale. She advised her teammates that they should leave these creatures behind in space. However, the other astronauts disagreed, thinking that if they brought the creatures back to Earth, they could gain fame and make significant discoveries by researching them. Despite Ripley's warnings, the majority of the crew was not willing to listen to her. Over time, Ken's condition gradually improved, and the team decided to proceed with their plan to bring the alien sample back to Earth. Ken, now recovering, enjoyed his dinner with the others, and everyone was relieved that he was fine. But suddenly, while eating, Ken started experiencing intense pain, and strange movements occurred in his chest. It became clear that something was tearing through his body. When they looked closer, they saw that it was a small creature that had fully evolved and was now emerging from Ken. The creature quickly attacked and absorbed the nearby astronauts before rapidly escaping, moving to the other side of the spaceship. Ken was dead, and the crew was shocked by what had just happened. They were left wondering who or what that creature really was. With no other choice, the astronauts decided to honor Ken by making it their mission to kill the alien creature before the spaceship reached Earth. The astronauts were now in a state of panic after encountering the alien aboard the spaceship. They realized they had made a grave mistake by not listening to Ripley's warnings. The spaceship's power sources were malfunctioning, with chambers going on and off unexpectedly, but no one could understand why. To deal with the situation, the astronauts split into two teams to search for and kill the alien. The first team, consisting of Ripley, Brett, and Parker, set out to investigate. As they ventured further, they sensed some movement inside one of the chambers. The three of them were ready to confront the alien, but when they opened the compartment, they found only the cat that they had brought aboard the ship. The cat immediately ran off, frightened, and Brett began to worry that the alien might harm it. To find the cat, he ventured into another compartment. There, Brett found a strange skin, freshly shed. As he looked up, he saw the fully grown alien, much larger than before. The alien attacked him immediately, killing him in a brutal, swift assault. Brett had no chance to defend himself. The alien, which had once been small, had now grown considerably. It had consumed the spaceship's power to fuel its growth, which explained the flickering lights. Hearing Brett's screams, Ripley and Parker rushed to his aid but found nothing but blood. They were devastated to discover that another team member had been killed. The rest of the crew was now blaming Captain Daniel and Ash, as it was Ash who had opened the door to allow Ken back inside despite the warnings. Ripley and the others argued that now wasn't the time to argue, but to focus on capturing and eliminating the alien. They believed the alien, being smaller earlier, might be hiding in the air ducts, and if they searched carefully, they could find it quickly. No one had any idea that the alien had grown significantly and was becoming stronger by feeding on the astronauts. The astronauts decided that Captain Daniel and Ash should go into the air ducts to check for the alien, as they felt responsible for the situation. The two of them armed themselves with weapons and set off with the goal of killing the alien and returning to Earth. The rest of the astronauts, including Ripley, guided them through the spaceship, tracking the alien's location. Ripley kept monitoring the alien's movements and relayed updates to Captain Daniel and Ash, telling them where the alien was. After a while, the alien's location seemed to freeze, as if it had stopped moving. Captain Daniel continued forward, and when he shined a light, he discovered the alien standing right in front of him. The alien attacked him immediately. Daniel's screams were so loud that Ash realized the alien had caught him. Instead of helping Daniel, Ash panicked and fled. The alien completely overpowered and killed Captain Daniel. Now, only 4 astronauts remained: Mrs. Lambert, Ripley, Ash, and Parker. Ripley took control, determined to lead them forward, but Ash remained against her, refusing to let her take charge. Ripley then remembered the spaceship's supercomputer, which was capable of handling critical situations and providing solutions. She rushed to the console room to talk to the supercomputer about the current crisis. After explaining the situation to the supercomputer, Ripley waited for its response. However, the supercomputer failed to give her any answers and only stated that it was not authorized to respond to such questions. Ripley immediately sensed something was wrong. In all their previous interactions with the supercomputer, they had always received answers. Now, she realized that there was something suspicious going on. But now, Ripley continued typing more commands to extract information from the supercomputer. After a while, Ripley discovered a secret message that came from their organization on Earth. After reading everything, Ripley finally realized that all of this was the work of Ash. In fact, Ash had already informed the organization about the dangerous alien. Afterward, the organization's committee members told Ash to bring the alien species to Earth by any means, even if it was dangerous, and even if many astronauts lost their lives because of it. Ash's priority was to bring the alien species to Earth, and that's what he had been doing from the beginning. He had given the captain information that they needed to go to that planet and bring the alien species back. Now, seeing their situation, Ripley immediately went to Ash to confront him because Ash had endangered everyone's lives just for money. After hitting him once, a white liquid started leaking from Ash's head. At that point, Ash, in a fit of rage, tried to kill Ripley. Hearing Ripley's voice, Parker arrived and tried to separate them, but Ash suddenly managed to overpower both of them. After a lot of struggle, Parker, in a fit of anger, struck Ash's head, causing it to detach. Upon closer inspection, Parker and Ripley realized that Ash was not a human, but rather an android sent by the organization. In fact, the organization had sent Ash from the beginning to keep an eye on the astronauts. If the astronauts encountered any alien species, Ash's job was to bring that alien species to Earth, no matter what, even if it meant sacrificing all the astronauts' lives. Now, the three astronauts were sitting in tension, wondering what to do next. Ripley then slightly activated Ash's severed head to ask him about the plan that the organization had given him. He started saying that the organization had already given me the command that if any alien species is encountered, it must be brought to Earth. And now you all cannot fight this alien because it was much more powerful. Parker, Mrs. Lambert, and Ripley immediately left to find and kill the alien. On their way, Parker used a flamethrower to burn Ash, the android robot, completely. The three of them kept moving forward to search for the alien. Then Mrs. Lambert told the others that the alien was definitely on the main ship, so they could do one thing. They could activate the self-destruct mode of the entire spaceship and leave in a smaller spaceship to head towards Earth. Everyone liked this plan, so the three of them headed towards the small spaceship. Parker and Lambert went inside quickly, while Ripley went to activate the self-destruct mode of the main ship. But on the way, the alien suddenly appeared in front of Parker and Lambert and attacked them in a very brutal way. Ripley heard their screams, but she knew that the alien would not leave them alive. Both of them died a horrible death. Ripley quickly activated the self-destruct mode of the main ship and began heading towards the smaller spaceship. She was being very cautious, trying to avoid any encounter with the alien. She was doing everything she could to prevent the alien from entering the smaller spaceship because if that happened, destroying the main spaceship would be pointless. Ripley placed her frightened cat in a box and made her way toward the small spaceship. After looking around, she couldn't see the alien anywhere, so she immediately boarded the smaller spaceship and launched into space. After a short while, the main ship exploded due to the self-destruct mode being activated. Ripley felt a little relieved, thinking she had finally escaped. She put her cat into the sleeping chamber and herself went into hypersleep. But before she could fully rest, her eyes fell on the alien hiding between the pipes. The alien had been hiding there, meaning it already knew that they were leaving in the smaller spaceship. That's why it hid there. Ripley also learns about all this, and now she quickly wears her spacesuit and starts releasing strange gases. These gases force the dangerous alien to come out. The alien is now in the position where Ripley wanted it to be. Ripley immediately opens the spaceship's airlock, causing everything to be sucked into space. The alien is now pulled outside due to the pressure, although it still tries to grab the spaceship and enter. But then Ripley closes the spaceship's door, turns on the engines, and begins to move forward. The intense flames coming from the engine engulf the alien, destroying it completely and causing it to spread into space. Finally, Ripley has killed the alien. But she knows the sacrifices made for all of this. Ripley, sitting with her cat, records a video log where she explains that all the astronauts were killed in the alien attack, and only she and her cat survived. They are now heading toward Earth and will reach there in 6 weeks. She believes that the secret organization behind all this will soon be exposed. This is where our science fiction story ends.